Hello, everybody. We've got two coaches here, intuitive coach Shara Ogin and my good friend, transformational coach Jeffery Dean Davis. We're going to bring some inspiration, some love, some hope into your home right at this very moment. We're going to have a totally improv conversation about whatever topics Jeffrey brings up, or if you're in the chat, go ahead and throw some at us and we will address those issues. All right, let's hand the gavel to you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, well, I missed your talk before, and I know that you do some amazing stuff with nervous system, which I think we're all in the process of getting acquainted with, as the background noise on some level has dissipated, and we're with whatever's going on in our body, or we're feeling arising. There's been waves, right? There's been the wave of, okay, everything stopped and now I'm home, and then, news waves and all of these other things, coming and going, and thoughts and feelings and emotions. And so, what I wanted to do was see if and how we could provide a little bit of education and help with people around, what we're learning and what we can share in terms of helping them ground so they're a little bit smarter about that and taking care of themselves. Because as you know, your immune system is tightly tied to your thoughts, which are tied to what is released in your body, whether it's feel-good chemistry or whether it's stress and adrenaline and cortisol, which starts to break down your body if you run in that on a regular basis. So, yeah. So I'd love for you to kind of bring us to a space to start with our nervous system.
Okay.
Let's get into this.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I just did a whole hour or 45-minute healing, and I could provide the link after this if you want to go into the whole deep dive between well, so there's actually three parts of the autonomic nervous system. You might have thought there was two. So there's the sympathetic, there is the parasympathetic, and then there is the freeze or fight. And this is where traumas get instilled into our body. So, before this was a big topic, one of the big topics in the news was about the Me Too movements, like women who didn't speak up, and also like the church and the Catholic, all that stuff with kids that were abused when they're young, but they never spoke up about it. Now we're learning why that is this is something evolutionary, since as long as time has been recorded, that we had this fight and this freeze mechanism where we were actually unable to act. So that's actually like for instance, people who are being abused, sexually abused, they are they are in somewhat the shutdown mode of their body. And so, now it comes out now that we're at a whole new level of truth coming out. Like, this is literally the year of truth, if I could put a word on it. And so now the process is healing the body. Now, I'm really bringing this up, the topic of healing, because what's going on during this quarantine, the coronavirus, is most likely you're hitting some of your deep traumas that you haven't quite addressed. It might not be as dramatic as abuse, but other patterns which you maybe swept under the carpet because you were like so busy with work, or that was your excuse, you occupied your mind with other things. They're now showing up for you. So people are at different levels. Like at the highest level, they're activated because this is an opportunity, like for you and I, for instance. And then at another level, they're in like freak out because of the unknown. Like, people don't even know what's going to happen. Like 2 weeks from now, like for a lot of people, don't even know when their next paycheck's coming in, don't even know if they can pay rent. These are all like really high stress topics going on for a person. And then the freeze and the shutdown, it might not be happening so much to that degree, but what is happening is, for a lot of people I've talked to, they literally are depressed and they cannot get out of bed. And so now I understand better after researching around the nervous system about why that is. And we now know what we need to do about it. We need to get our nervous systems to come into balance. We need to bring like this true health and vitality into our body, and to know that it's okay that we feel these the way that we felt, because we literally have a reason to feel this way. So this is the time for us to go back and parent our inner child, because so important. This is like where all of our shadow stuff gets like just held in there and stuck. And this is the part where throughout life you maybe didn't really need to address whatever it is around your shame or your, except all those parts of our inner child that were hurt and wounded. And we felt like we were the only ones at that time experiencing that. We felt like we were not being able to be heard. We felt like nobody would understand us. We felt like we were isolated and alone. This is all true feelings. We need to acknowledge this, and we need to actually realize right now we might be experiencing those same emotions, and there's so much you could do about it. Oh, you know what? That might be my topic for my next healing group, inner child.
That's a deep dive there, the inner child. I think if we were to, you just said a lot there, and I think that is definitely a deep dive. That's some serious work there around the inner child and freeing that up and personal development. That's on the deep end of the pool. I
Yeah.
want to give somebody, I want to give somebody like, you raised some great points. When you're in that freeze state, animals will pretend to be dead, right? They'll
Mm-hmm.
freeze in
Mm-hmm.
their nervous system, and then maybe they get dragged someplace or something like that, and then perhaps they have a moment when they unfreeze and they have a moment to run and get away. So it's part of the protective
Yeah.
capabilities
Right.
and built-in ways of being naturally, and it shows up. What I'm seeing is it's showing up as an emotional experience of being overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is an overwhelm. You feel like there's a lot of weight on top of you, which if you don't start to kind of address that, then that can even start to feel depressive, right? Heavy. And so really, it's important, I think, just on the simple level, I think it's super important for people to be aware of what they're putting into their bodies,
Mm.
both mentally, emotionally, and physically. So the food you eat is going to be really important during this time period. It's really important in general. And we're learning that what's interesting is we're learning on a larger level, a little bit more about superfoods and about, different ways that you can take care of yourself. And also it's super important to make sure that that gets into your body. When we were talking just briefly yesterday, I mentioned that when you're in a state of stress, fight, flight, or freeze, any triggered state, it's not a good time to eat,
Mm.
because whatever you put in your stomach will be something you put in your stomach, but it won't be put into your body. So you won't
Mm.
get nutrition from it. You won't get, you can load it full of superfoods all you want, but your body's doing something else. It's thinking about running away. It's thinking about freezing. It's not thinking about eating. It's not thinking about digesting. That wouldn't actually save your life. And your body is designed in a way to save your life and to keep you alive and to keep you, it's a very efficient machine that we inhabit. So I think it's really important
Yeah.
to manage your process, and the first piece of that is being aware of where you're at and being able to accept that it's okay to be stressed. There's a lot of people that are stressed. A lot of people having a lot of feelings. One day you may be up, next day you may be down, and there's a lot of things going on in the world, and I think it's really important to center and find your center. What works best for you. So what worked best for you pre our isolation may not be what works for you now. So perhaps you didn't have a strong personal ritual in the morning or a way of setting your day. You just kind of went to the gym and stuff like that. And a lot of those options have been taken off the table. So there are still options and ways to set your nervous system and set your state in a way that, you're at, if you're in the spiritual world, you call it a higher vibration. If you're, whatever it is just basically a healthier state of being that it'll put you into, and that is one advantage of setting a structure for your day is you feel less off balance, you feel less out of control, you feel less overwhelmed because there's a process to your day. And there's a sense of accomplishment hopefully built into how you structure your day, and that's super important too. One thing you do not want to do is be watching the news all day.
Right.
It's not
Absolutely.
changing very quickly.
Yeah.
Things are changing and not. Right now, the bottom line is we're still inside, and so if you missed 2 days of the news, the only thing that might happen is you might notice that it's a nice day outside, that you can get some vitamin D, literally which is super important to your immune system, just getting some sun. You need 15 minutes a day to keep that up.
Yes, so that was great. I have a few things I'd like to speak to about what you just said. So backing up, the main function of the sympathetic nervous system is for self-preservation and protection. We have to remember that. And that, once again, stems from our childhood where these neural synapses got imprinted around external world stuff and how we encode that in our bodies. And oftentimes when we're older, we're still perceiving things as danger and we still have the same physiological reaction, even though usually the external thing is not really what it was interpreted as a child. So it's basically like reprogramming how our minds are reacting to the nervous system. Now you're speaking basically briefly about food, and one thing that does evoke a parasympathetic nervous response is using your oral emulsification muscles. And so like sucking, eating. And so that's why that is one of the first things that people turn to when they're stressed and overwhelmed. They eat. And it does indeed calm the nervous system down. However, the downfall is your digestion is probably way off because the main nerve that affects the parasympathetic nervous system is also connected to the digestion. And your stress response that's going on will automatically shut down your digestion. So it will, and then it won't process through your body properly, and it won't remove the toxins and the wastes, and it will just be awful to your body. It will result in toxins basically in your body if it stays in there for long enough food and it doesn't digest properly. So along with what you said, having a super healthy diet right now, it really helps to increase the consciousness going on. When people work with me, they automatically eat healthier. They automatically lose weight. That's a crazy thing I've noticed. They always tell me, like, if that's one of their goals is like people, when your mind is in a healthier state, you just naturally eat healthier. Okay. So some of the things you could do is just literally calm your body down right before you have a meal. And sometimes people like to say a prayer or something, and that is with the intention, focus away from whatever you're stressing about and onto the health and the nourishment that you're going to ingest. Whether or not food, so I work a lot with diets and food with people. I could actually literally tell what kind of way a person should eat. It's both from my education and my psychic. But the most important thing about the food you put into your body is your beliefs around the food. Like you might say, oh, I'm just going to have this chocolate cake. I know it's crap for my body, but oh, well, I'll just do it. And basically you're giving yourself the message that I'm crap. I deserve crap. And so just like love your food so amazing. My husband just went out to get Nepalese food. So I'm like, oh, I'm so just the flavors, the taste, it just has such a positive emotion in my body. And then I was going to say something else about your last topic. I forgot what we were just talking about. It'll come to me in a second.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. I have never really noticed that very much there's a couple things that are happening because many things have been removed. I'm noticing within myself different things that I haven't noticed before. So I've noticed what emotional eating looks and feels like.
Mm.
So I've had a little bit of that. And speaking of chocolate cake, I had a little bit this morning for breakfast. Yes!
That's hilarious. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing, right? I loved it. I
Yeah.
ate a little bit of it. I've got
Yeah.
more for later, but I loved it, right? I didn't beat myself up for it. I didn't feel bad for it. I was excited when I ate it. I felt good afterwards. I ate enough where I was like, okay, I'm good. And, as opposed to sometimes when people will emotionally eat, they'll be upset before and then they'll
Yeah.
punish themselves afterwards. And that's not a good look,
Totally.
So I'm not saying that my emotional eating is better than anybody else's emotional eating. I'm just saying that I'm noticing it, and
Yeah.
it is important to frame it and to have your body ready to receive it. There's a state of being where you can receive, and that can be mentally, emotionally, physically, and it's all comes to kind of the same thing. And to go in full circle with what you just said and tie this together, one way to really receive on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level is to practice gratitude. So before you eat, you can certainly say, I'm grateful for this food. I'm grateful for the people that picked it, that made it, and sometimes I'll track it all the way back as much as I can think of, these people, and bless them all. So I'm kind of blessing the food chain as it comes into my body. But, and that's with food, or even if you're not eating, gratitude is a great way to shift your emotional state. You can't be in a state of fear and be grateful at the same time. It's not possible. So, and gratitude is a practice. And the more that you practice, the more that you become, I wouldn't say skillful at it, but the more that you become a little bit better to find the juice in it. Right. So when I first started practicing gratitude, I was like, I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful for this beautiful day. And then by day 5, I'm like, I'm grateful I'm alive and this beautiful day. And so then it was like, well, I've gotten to a spot, not always, but the other day, I was literally just spending time with my body and being grateful for every organ, every bit of biology that I could think of. I'm grateful for my spleen, and I was sending love to it. I'm grateful for my meniscus. Like, just literally, I just went through my biology class from 7th grade and just went through everything that I knew, and just was feeling it and acknowledging my body and acknowledging, our bodies just keep working till they don't, and they're very efficient machines. I mean, I am grateful that my heart continues to beat every single day that I'm alive, and
That's awesome.
it doesn't take time off. It doesn't
Right.
take a break. It's
Yeah.
not like, hey, I'll check back with you in a little bit. It's,
Yeah.
I know you're tired, but I'm going to keep doing the work.
Yeah.
So,
That's very similar to
yeah.
what I just addressed in my healing group that I just led. But so in a moment, I want to change the topic here to love and relationships. And just before I do that, I will say one point about what you said before about finding a routine and a schedule. Like, it's so easy if we don't have work and everything to just let the day go by. But I strongly encourage one strategy is before you go to sleep, think about your day the next morning. Think about the energy you're going to wake up. They say the first few moments of your day, the energy you wake up at depicts how the rest of your day is going to go. So, homework assignment for a lot of my clients is wake up with a smile and just proclaim today's going to be the best day of my life. And then I have a few strategy morning practices, but just let your day go from there. But visualize it the day before. And I'm one of those people that need structure and I need to know what's going on. And so, even like it might not be like something like huge, but I know that I'm going for a hike pretty much every morning. And so, then I have other things going on in my day. I'm going to do my emails. And then at evening, it's always like the brainless the brainless things. Like after 8 p.m., it's like Facebook, brain shuts down. So I want to turn the topic now to love and intimacy. And so ideally, we're not meant to regulate on our own. As a species, we're meant to co-regulate, meaning to regulate our nervous systems along with another person. Now, a lot of people, and I'm actually surprised, a lot of people have I'll just say, for instance, an anxious attachment dynamic, which has their nervous system feel unsafe, or if they're not getting the constant reassurance from another person, for instance. All of these patterns stem from childhood, where one of our essential needs was not being met. And so that caused us to think subconsciously, okay, all patterns relationships are then going to be that way. Okay, so you might be experiencing this whether you're in a relationship and cohabitating with somebody right now, or alone, So I know that there's a whole wide spectrum of things going on within a person around relationship, but it is hard to go, if you're living alone, to go this long without physical touch. Physical touch is one of the things that really evokes the parasympathetic nervous system response. It really calms the nervous system down. I know you have so much to say about this. Yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting that you say that, and I do appreciate that, because it's so, I was thinking about this before we spoke, which is we are living in two completely different worlds. You're there with your husband and your beautiful child, and I am here by myself. So, you're getting touch and loved and, all of that. And I'm 6 feet away doing my dance.
So what do you suggest around that?
Yeah, and it's fascinating too, because I am noticing. I mean, I really notice it in my body at different points in time, how my body communicates. I need to be touched. I like just need some hug, or an exchange of energy, or like connection in that way. And I've never, that's another thing, I've never really felt so emotional eating and the sense of touch are two things that I've really discovered how my body communicates that to me, and what that feels like, what that looks like. So it's really, it's been an interesting journey, and my body and I are getting to know each other a little bit more.
Great.
But I also am so grateful for all those hugs and all those people that I'm going to see afterwards. So, yeah.
Well, I'm wondering how you all out there are coping with all of this. Yeah. All right. Fazia says, thanks for your encouragement to set a routine. I'm feeling, I'm failing at that and feeling bad about it. Okay, well, thanks for your share. Well, don't feel bad about it. Today's a new day. You get to start from today, and tonight when you're going to sleep, you could visualize it and see it tomorrow. And by the way, Fazia just signed up for my group coaching program, which is starting in a month, but part of it is self-paced, so part of it's online work, and you can actually start that as soon as you sign up. And then the other part is group Skype calls or Zoom calls. And the cool thing is that I'm offering a super special deal today. So it's basically 20% off until May 1st. And I threw in an extra $50 off bonus just if people sign up today. So bonus on bonus, I will actually never, for this particular program, charge that low. I just feel like I'm available right now, When the quarantine's over, I'll still be available. I'm always available for my clients. I have this contract with my clients. I meet them halfway. So to the degree that they're in, I meet them there. And if they start to fall out, I start to fall out a little bit, but my intention is that we both stay in, and my intention, I see the end goal, the end vision, and I'm very passionate about helping people to get there. So the group program is something that's super low price. And so if people can't afford to work with me one-on-one, it's an amazing option because, first of all, this is going to really go into the body. So there's a whole aspect around the physical body. And then it's also going to be, it's probably going to be mostly all women. It might be all women. And so it's going to be a opportunity to really connect in deeply. They say vulnerability is the path to intimacy. And I'm basically going to be providing psychic energy healings all the way through the 8-week program. It's 8 week once it starts. So if you start here, you get an extra month. Then it's 3 months long. And so, yeah, I'm excited for it because I like working with groups. I like to have group shares and other people could reflect. And it's also a great time to get intimate with other people who are like-minded and going through something themselves. All right, that's my sales pitch. DM me if you want more
Sounds
information.
sounds amazing. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, it's a time where a lot of people, I think, have an interest in figuring out what's next because a lot of the norms of the world have been removed, right? A lot of whether we've become unplugged from different things that we would normally be able to do or interact with. And so I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was saying, he's like, I've just been working so hard. You know, I was wishing there was another day in the week, and now I've got a month.
Yeah. And my
Uh,
husband's been bitching about that commute. You know, how many other people in the Bay Area are bitching about the Silicon Valley commute? So many people. And like, look, you win.
well, it's gonna be tough to get. You know, I've talked to other people too. It's gonna be tough to get people stuck back in traffic going back to work
Oh,
after they're working
that will
now
be a big
and they're
shift.
doing a job working out of the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I think another thing that I would like to offer to
Yeah.
people to help them ground that isn't really talked about too much is play.
Mm-hmm.
So when you find a way to play, whatever that happens to be silly, to let loose, to I mean, in order to play, you do need to let loose of the construct of identity, the anxiousness that you're holding on to, and just be in the moment of creation. And when you're in a moment of creation like that and you're playing whatever that happens to be, whatever it is, whether it's painting or singing or being dancing or whatever it happens to be for you to play, for you to express, that will actually move energy. It'll move stress. It'll move you back into your essence because at our core, we are creative beings. Right. So we're tapping back into our core, and we're going past all the stuff that's going in our head, this thought about this thought about that, and
Mm-hmm.
just tapping into what brings us joy. And again, at that essence of joy, we're not going to be standing in a state of fear, and we're going to be releasing chemistry in our body that's going to be healing. And, that's the way to be.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah. So, I think that I'd love to. So when you work with people around the body, one of the things that we overlap here in you and I in our work is we both are attuned to how important the body is in the healing process. And so, and isn't your modality Feldenkrais? Is that kind
Yeah,
of like where
I
you're?
do Feldenkrais. I help. I mean, that's been since 2002, helping people hands-on with their body. But now my focus is more my coaching and the energy healing. Even though I still love that, it's great to have so many jobs that you love, that you're passionate about. I mean, Feldenkrais is freaking amazing. Like literally, all of our emotionals state, all of our traumas or emotions we hold in our body at a physiological level. Like, when your mother slapped you or whatever when you were young, like literally all your extensors went like that. Your eyes got big, and somewhere in your body you really did store that imprint. And so Feldenkrais could go in and like actually it's very gentle work that actually moves your body in a way to let go of that pattern. And then often what happens is as people are like letting go, you don't know what's stored in your cells. And so that's a really amazing thing. When I'm doing the work, oftentimes people are crying on my table. And it's like there's maybe a visceral understanding or memory of why they're crying, but logically they don't really know. And I never ask them why because it doesn't matter. It's just that something has been released. And there's this huge shift in like the way they stand taller, their shoulders are back, they're on their 2 feet. Like literally just the most amazing. Like yesterday I talked to someone and she's like, wow, I got up and my toes were straight, and they're usually like in like that. And I felt so much lighter as I walked. So in
Hmm.
the work, I do hold some retreats, which just got rescheduled. So I have a couple of retreats coming up on the mind body, spectrum, sound healing, and Feldenkrais. So, DM me if you want more of that. Like literally after the 3-day retreats, people shift. They're like a different person night and day. But now what I'm doing is I'm basically integrating the Feldenkrais into my psychosocial work with clients. And so, whatever they're dealing with, anxiety, stress, so we'll deal with it like as a coach, my bag of tools and my psychic readings, and all that. But then sometimes I'm like, okay, Feldenkrais is like my therapy without words. So I just lay them on my table and I do very gentle hands-on work. And I really feel like you need to address it from both the physical body and the emotional body. So in
Totally.
Feldenkrais, when I'm doing hands-on sessions, people don't need to do anything. They literally just get up and the change is integrated at a subcortical level, meaning they don't have to think about, like, if it's like a physical therapy or chiropractor, they might say, okay, have your pelvis here and have your shoulders back and your head like, tall. But when you stand up from a Feldenkrais session, you don't have to think about that. Your body just is. It's just already shifted. It's this amazing thing. And then over time, you'll
Hmm.
fall back into old patterns of I'm not good enough, something's wrong with me, the world sucks, and that will like do the contraction pattern inward where your diaphragm and everything will pull inwards. And then another session and then you'll come back and eventually it's like a rubber band, but eventually it comes back to the upright. So I'm really enjoying
Right.
connecting it with the emotional.
So you establish a new homeostasis
Yeah.
for their structure in
Yeah,
their
well, a lot of my
body.
clients, and I have a feeling this is going to happen even more so, are long distance and remote. But actually, sorry to be doing a sales pitch again, but I actually just created my intuitive body program, which is filled with Feldenkrais and inner body wisdoms. It's actually a special right now. I could even throw under 20% for that right now. So it like literally just last month I uploaded it. So it's an online program. It's like 3.5 hours worth of content to basically get more in touch and more in tune with your body. So like if I'm working with people remotely, I could literally just send them this information for teach them how to find this level of balance and physiological release within inside of themselves. So people don't need to work with me in person. In fact, I feel like I'm going to be going more and more towards remote work.
Yeah, so you don't need face to face, but the work that I do is predominantly 99% online. Every once in a while, I'll do some face to face with some VIP days or something like that, but
Uh-huh.
that's not something that I'm doing at this point. And I'll do similar to you, but coming at it from a different angle. I'll integrate the body and the emotionality through EFT and breath
Mm.
work and a little bit of energy work that I do. So it's really something that kind of taps you into your nervous system, literally taps you into your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm offering to people is typically I'll work with somebody on a longer term basis because the work that I do is we get down and we shift a way of being so this that where you're at you become the person that's doing what you want, that's
Mm-hmm.
in the space that you be, as opposed to more of a to do or more directionally. So it's more of a fundamental work. But what I also am offering during this time period through until into May is I'm offering one free coaching session a day to whoever would like that.
What?
Yeah, I'm just helping people out. That's
Wow,
the
that's
deal.
awesome. Great.
Yeah, so that's the deal. That's what I want to do, help
Free
people out.
coaching session. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's been fun. I just started that, and I've had a couple people that I've worked with, and I'm excited. I hope that people will take advantage of it because they're definitely getting things out of it, and it's fun for me too.
Way to stay connected into the collective
Yeah,
consciousness. Well,
yeah,
anyways, if you're listening to this, I appreciate you sticking around. I appreciate you. I appreciate you and I appreciate you. And if you want to write in chat any future comments or topics you'd love to hear about. And I'm also curious how you're all doing. How you're all doing. Everybody's in such a different space right now. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off. Do you want to say anything before we sign off?
I wish everybody the best. I hope that you're getting the support that you need. Feel free to reach out to Shara or myself. Like I said, I'm available for a free session, and I promise you that in one session we'll get you back on the ground, in a place where you have clarity and some focus and some direction, if that's what you need. And just know that we are all going through some version of this, and there is sunlight on the other side. But in the meantime, make sure you get some every day.
All right. Well, big hug to everybody. Where's my hug, Jeffrey? Where's my hug? Okay. Thank you. I needed that. Virtual hug
All
and
right.
kisses. Okay. Bye
See ya.
bye.
Love you.